Hi St Michael's, it's Richard here. I'm speaking to you today with the sun shining. Feels like the summer's come back again, and I hope you're managing to enjoy this lovely weather. But I'm also speaking to you on the week when the government have said we cannot gather in groups of more than 6 socially. There are some exemptions to that, and thankfully Sunday services of worship are exempt. So we are still planning to hold a celebration service this Sunday in the church building. But what I want to say to you today is that sadly we feel that we cannot open all the buildings as we did 2 weeks ago, and to do it both safely but also to remain within those rules that the government have brought out. And unfortunately Rose Cottage, whilst it was, I think, really appreciated 2 weeks ago by the families who got to gather there, and there was a great sense of connection and the children had fun playing, we just don't feel actually that we can reopen it again this weekend in a safe way, with the rising case numbers of COVID, and also with this new rule of 6, we are concerned that it might be perceived to be a social gathering rather than a service. And so it's with sadness really that we are not going to be opening Rose Cottage this Sunday. Now I know there are many of you watching this now who are parents of children, younger children, and maybe that was something you really appreciated, having that space for children to be themselves, a little bit more freedom and a relaxed atmosphere. And it was wonderful to be able to enjoy a number of weeks this month and over August where families have been able to get together in larger groups and do that safely, of course, but with that sense of freedom. And that's something that we've loved about the culture here at St Michael's, and I know many of you appreciate that. Some of you might maybe struggle with it a little, seeing children running around the place, and I know that some of you find that distracting. But for the majority of the families, the young families, that is something that they appreciate about St Michael's. And it was something we wanted to preserve as we went into the autumn term. It's just so difficult to be able to recognise that actually we're having to put safety first at the moment. And these government restrictions might feel frustrating, they might be difficult, particularly for those of you who are larger families with more children, and that means that you can't even invite anyone into your home now. I know it's difficult, and it will be disappointing for some of you that you cannot gather at Rose Cottage this Sunday, but we are putting safety first. We do believe that the experts know best. I'm no expert. I have very little background in science. I didn't do that well at school in science, and so I'm trusting the experts here, and we have to take our lead from those who are seeking to put our safety first. So the plan for this Sunday is we will be opening the church building and the rec house. Rec house will remain that safe zone for those who are more vulnerable. So we do ask that if you are someone who mixes with many people during the week, either because you are a child or you have children or you're going out to work, that you would avoid going into the rec house. That is a place for those who don't mingle with lots of other people and are more vulnerable themselves. And the church will remain open for all others. We do have a couple of tables set up in the church for family households with children, and you can come and sit. The children will need to be seated throughout the service, and as parents you will need to supervise your children at all times. There will be some activities that children can do at the table, but of course we will be continuing to make the service accessible via Zoom. So if you just feel that actually you don't think your children will manage coming to sit in the church building and remain seated throughout the service, then of course we want to encourage you to engage via Zoom. We will hopefully try and keep that sense of interactivity and everyone getting to muck in and take part and share stories and pray, that's something we've really enjoyed, and we know that people have appreciated since we went into lockdown. So thank you for your patience. It's, for me as a leader, you know, it's really hard. God is testing me, you know. I feel like I come up with these great ideas and then 2 weeks later they sort of fall apart, and I'm trusting God. And that's, I think, where we've got to be. We've got to be in that place where we trust him, that the plans might change, but God never changes, and his voice and his word to us is faithful, stable, and he will never let us down. And so we do not need to fear. And I think we need to be paying attention to what he's saying in these days. So join with me in praying that God would lead us, and I look forward to seeing you this Sunday for our 10:30 celebration in the church, in Rec House, or over Zoom. For those of you who are wondering about missional communities, we're meeting with the missional community leaders tonight, and we'll be discussing how these restrictions might impact and the implications on missional communities. But we're not scrapping that, we're just going to have to think differently and think creatively. God bless you. Do get in touch with Catherine or I if you have any questions. We'd love to chat, listen. You might have feedback, you might have things you want to pray about. We'd love to talk to you. And don't forget your face masks, and come ready to let your soul sing to God, even if you can't let your mouth sing. Take care, look forward to seeing you Sunday.